It is indeed an honor to have amidst us our speaker for the day, Dr. Ashok Sir, Professor and Dean, School of Arts, Humanities and Social Science, Chanakya University, on this wonderful day. Dr. Ashok has a PhD to his credit, and his areas of specialization are in psychometric analysis, research methodology, and Indian psychology. Sir comes with a tremendous amount of experience with over 4 decades at Bangalore University. Professor Ashok is a distinguished teacher, trainer, counselor, and a researcher. Sir has guided many students in their doctoral thesis. As an honorary professor at CSS, Professor Ashok led a project on Sri Aurobindo's integral education. I heartily welcome you, sir. We also have amidst us Sri Panindra sir, Manager Admissions, Chanakya University. A hearty welcome to you, sir. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Nalini T.S. Madam, our beloved principal, my colleagues and dear students. Of late, we have been hearing of the word stress, stress, stress. Kids, elders, adults, everybody is using this word stress. So what is it? Stress is an automatic physical, mental, and emotional response to a challenging event. But when stress is used positively, it can lead to growth, action, and change. So, what is the best way to deal with it? It is just stay cool and focused. But today, students are facing a lot of stress. This is what we are hearing from each and everybody. Now, how do we manage this stress? I would like to invite Dr. Ashok sir to guide us with his speech here about how to manage stress.
Good afternoon. How many of you have scored 90% and above in your SSLC? Okay, good. Now, why I asked you? Because having got 90% in SSLC, your parents and yourself also want you to get more than 90% in PUC. Right? That is where it becomes stressful to you. Right? Now, what is stress? And especially when you talk in terms of student stress. What are the student stress? Are you stressed actually? Sitting here in the afternoon lunchtime, not allowing to go home is stressful, right? No? Okay. Anyway, that's a stress. And a very simple component of stress is that, madam asked me to start the lecture and I'm thinking where to start. And then the mic is there and then it is not opening. So that is stressful to me. Right? So stress is a thing which cannot be, which is inevitable. Okay? So that's where we say stress, we don't call it as stress reduction. You know what is stress reduction? If you know what causes stress, how can you reduce stress? Remove that stressor. Right? Is it possible? Your parents are the stressors for you. Can you remove the parents? Not possible, isn't it? So that is where we say we have to manage stress. Okay. Imagine that on the day of the examination also, you don't have any stress at all. Cool. What happens? Is it possible for you to perform? So that is where a certain amount of stress becomes very much essential. Right? That is what we call it as use stress. Use stress means utilitarian component of stress. Certain amount of stress becomes very much essential. If that stress is not there, you can't perform to an optimum level. But how to know whether it is optimum level or not? That is where the use stress turns out into negative stress or a distress component is concerned. Now, what is this particular distress? How to identify this? And as students, what are the factors that is responsible? You have lot of other roles to play also. Isn't it? You are also a son, you are also a daughter, you are also a brother, you are also a sister. What not? Lot of other roles are also there. But as a student, what is the role that is expected? To study. You yourself say that I should study. Okay, some of you may say I should study. Some of the parents may say you should study. Teachers say that you should definitely study. Okay, so when such things happen, so you say that I am happy. Suppose, for example, some of you may be talented in sports, some of you may be talented in music or dance, etc. For you, that is more important to you. But for teachers, that is not important to you. For teachers, what is expected? At least you should get scope, minimum this, and then you do whatever you want. And you say, I don't want that at all. That's the point now. That becomes stressful to you. And how do you study? It's an interesting component. If you have 5 subjects or 6 subjects, the subject which when do you start reading? On the day of the examination, timetable is announced, you start reading, isn't it? And then you also find after the result comes in, the first thing you say that I should definitely from next year I should study very seriously. Okay. By the time your college starts, most of the teachers would have gone for evaluation. So ಪಾಠನೇ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಓದೋದು ಒಂದು ಪಾಠ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಓದೋಣ ಒಂದ್ ಪಾಠ ಓದೋಷ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಗಣಪತಿ ಹಬ್ಬ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಗೌರಿ ಹಬ್ಬ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಗೌರಿ ಹಬ್ಬ ಮುಗಿಲಿ then I will start reading. By that time Dasara will come. By that time Deepavali will come. And by that time the timetable for examination also comes in. That's the point now. Your intention would be there. There is no problem with regard to your intention. But it goes on postponing. That's one particular factor. Another interesting factor, from among the 5 subjects which you study, the subject which you like most, you always concentrate more on that. The difficult subject, difficult, let me read later on. So as a result of it, what will happen? That difficult becomes difficult only, stays difficult only. That is where the performance also gets affected. Another interesting phenomenon. Having gone, say for example, especially in the first PUC, MPC, even SSLC also, final examination is over, you get the result. And then when you look at the marks card, you start wondering, the paper which I thought very difficult, on that paper I got more marks, maximum marks. Which you feel that we have done well, you get very less marks. There are comparatively less marks. Why is it so? Have you thought of? Thanks to cursive writing. Okay, so you don't know what it is, but what you do now, your teachers also don't leave the room before the last bell. So what you do now? Go on scribbling. And there is one school in psychology called as Gestalt school. The Gestalt school says that man or a woman cannot live in a meaningless situation. Right? You have scribbled paper, pages after pages, and sometimes some places you will also highlight. So the teacher, in the process of evaluating so many papers, can't understand what is this. But pages are there, underline is there, so they will give meaning into it and give marks. Okay, anyway, that's a different factor. So what happens now? That is where you say, for example, the academic factors are an important factor, and how those academic factors, what are the factors that are responsible for academic performance? Next, here only. Okay, right. So subjective factors of success. What are the factors that is responsible for success in your academic performance as a student? Skills, abilities, and interest. Now, what do you mean by that? Do you have a skill to learn? That is where the learning habits, study habits become an important factor. Abilities. Does everybody has that particular equal ability? Now, normally you may say that where do you sit in the classroom? Whether it is the front bench, whether it is the middle bench, whether it is the back bench. And what does the teachers normally do? Teachers will concentrate only on backbenchers, right? So teachers also accept that. That's ages together, generation after the generation, there is an opinion that comes in. So teachers also know we should concentrate only on the backbenchers. You also know students, right? Who is the teacher and what is it that has to be done. So this is a particular factor. So abilities and interests of the people. Nowadays, what happens? See, teachers would be forced to teach from the textbook, prescribed textbook that is there. A bright student will have more latest information on the net or on the various other sources, and you find, and many times, especially in science subjects, what happens here is that the topic that is being studied has become obsolete. It's not useful at all. Then what you have to do? Then the students will ask, why do I have to study? You say, because it is there in the syllabus. Okay, so teachers also know what they are teaching is meaningless. Students also know that what they are studying is meaningless, but they have to study because it comes in the examination. That's the point now. So the entire class becomes totally a meaningless class only. And how do you handle that? That becomes an important factor. Okay, so even the front benchers start playing. Okay, that's it. Because you know that it is a meaningless. And teacher also has accepted that it is meaningless. That's the point now. That's a factor. So how do you create interest? How do you develop interest in the subject also? That is where when you have five different subjects, you will not be equally interested in all the subjects. One or two subjects you may have more interest, and some you may not have that at all. So how to create interest, how to develop interest is a factor that you have to keep in mind. Motivation. See, if you have to study, why is it that I have to study? Who makes you to, let us say, study is an important factor. Whether it is a self motivation, I want to study, or my teachers want to study, or my parents want me to study, is a factor. So, motivation is a factor, and others. Especially, that's why I started. If you have got a distinction in your previous examination, then what happens now? There's a lot of expectation from others. Okay, so if you have got a rank in SSLC, now another 2 years, not only your life, your parents' life also is miserable. Right? TV is cut, all that is cut. Because they say that having got a rank in SSLC, you should definitely get a rank in PUC also. That's the point now. So from there, that is where the others, pressures from the others, neighbors, relatives, everybody starts putting pressure on you. So that's a factor. Goal setting. What is the goal which you have? Okay, it is an important factor. See, you would have got a good marks. This is where, normally as students and maybe at times parents also start shifting you from one institution to the other. Okay. Why? Because that college is not good. They don't give marks. They don't study. And we shift it into other, let us say the college. It is nothing to do with the college. Your own ability is not that much. But parents don't understand. And you don't understand. So as a result of it, what will happen now? You are go on shopping from one institution to another. Okay, so that is where what is your goal setting? Till this is where just now I was sharing. See, nobody has to fail. So everybody will pass. When everybody will pass, that also gives an impression that I also know. See, your marks card doesn't show the real ability of the students are concerned. I remember when I was in middle school, right? At those times, the language teachers are supposed to be relatively poor in their mathematics. So in one of the terminal examination, in Kannada paper, terminal examination, maximum marks was for 25. The teacher has evaluated. Now he found that 29, and you realize that maximum marks itself is 25. How I can get 29? So scrapped and then 28 and 27, ultimately 25 out of 25. How the 29 came in or 29 came in for 25 is that, see, there is a choice. A poem, 6-line poem has to be written. This or that. Any one of them have to be written. So the boy knew both. So in one page he has written one. In after 2 pages he has written the other also. So what does the teacher have done for both? And adding it, it comes to 29. So marks doesn't make any. It does not give any interpretation of how you are learning it. So goal setting is an important factor. So far, if you have got only the second class, can you aspire for a distinction? That's the point now. That is where you should also know. Your parents may put you pressure. That's fine. But how do you handle that particular pressure is an important factor. So goal setting is a factor. Understanding handling stress and anxiety about self, peer, family, and the academic factor. So that's a factor. Next slide. Okay. What is stress? So that's where I said use stress I just talked about. A certain amount of positive stress becomes an essential factor. When that is there, seriousness comes in. Okay, so that is a positive stress. And we talk in terms of the role stress. This is an important factor. What is the role? We have different roles, right? Corresponding to the role, there are three components of role stress. Many times at this particular age, you find that your parents quite often say that don't be childish, you are adult enough, take the decision. When you take the decision, they say that who gave you the permission? You are still a child. That's the point now. And one time they say that you don't act like a child, you are an adult. And when thinking that you are an adult, you take a decision, then what will happen? They say, don't be too smart, you are still a child. That's the point now, role ambiguity. Okay. I don't know how to do it. That's the point now. That's where role ambiguity comes in. Okay. Role overload. Too much of load. Especially, probably some of you also would have still maybe experiencing it. Okay. You have taken up a particular course, let us say either science or commerce or arts or whatever that be. That is your main study. But parents and you also may say that you should go for a music class, you should go for a dance class, you should go for all those also. Too much of that. And there also some examination evaluation would be there. There also some event is there. You have to participate in that event. There is an examination here also. Right? There is an assignment that has to be submitted. So load would be too much. Okay. So you should know what is the load I can take. It is a factor. So that's where role overload. Role conflict. Two roles get into conflict now. The example is that you are a football player or you are a player of, let's say, the college team, and then there is a team that you have to go. You have to game that you have to go. Okay, and at the same time, the deadline for the submission of a record or submission of an assignment or a test comes in. Which one to go? Got the point now. So there are such number of such conflicts that can come in. So the role conflict is another factor. Okay. Now, what are the psychological symptoms? When you are under stress, how to know that you are experiencing stress? You may not know. Others also may not know. Or you have to observe some of these things. And then when you observe these things, you know that you are getting into the stress factor is concerned. What are they? Lack of attention to detail. Many times when if you are anxious, on the day of the examination, you go there, open the, let us say, as soon as the question paper is given, right? The crucial word you will miss out. Okay? And when you miss out that crucial word, quite often we find, when we were students and when the examination was over and the results used to come, we used to say we have got the marks. Now what you say? They have given the marks. See the difference now. That means we don't own. Okay, teachers have given the marks. And quite often you also say, I wrote 8 pages, they have given only 2 marks. Right? Especially in languages, especially in social sciences. Okay, why that happen? That happens because, as you really admitted, that you start reading, your, English language or, arts subject when the day of examination is announced. You start opening the textbook. Thanks to reprographic facilities, everybody is the proud owner of the textbook. If not the original, Xerox copies of it, isn't it? So, as a result, what do? You start opening the book. The first 3 pages, Xerox book, first 3 pages will be the life history or autobiography of the poet who has written that poem. Right? Maximum attention will be for the first 15 minutes. Later also you will be reading it. When you open the question paper, the question will be on the poem. What is it that you remember? Autobiography of the poet. So you write 3 pages, 4 pages of autobiography and 1 page or half page about the poetry. So what happens now? For you, you have written 4 pages. For teacher, it is only 4 lines. That's the point now. This is where you should say lack of attention to detail. What is a specific thing that is being asked? See, normally, I don't know, teachers may be knowing, they now talk about Bloom's taxonomy. That means your learning should be on a different component. What do they do now? They ask a question, differentiate, compare, contrast, all that. That compare, contrast, you will not read at all. You read only the prefix and the suffix of that. So as a result of it, what will happen? The expected answer may not be there at all. That's a factor. Attention to detail, orientation to the past. See, in 10th standard, when I was there, I learned very. See, what happens there? You tend to think in terms of the past, not in the present situation. Low psychomotor activity rear coordination is a factor. So your ability to use your muscular ability gets affected. Disorganization of thoughts. Your thoughts goes from one to the other. That's where your organization or your answers also would not be in a continuous manner. And then diminish self-esteem. You lose your self-esteem. You see that I was not like this, I may fail. These sort of anxiety, these sort of questions, doubts about your own performance comes into the picture. Diminished sense of meaning in life. Probably nowadays we have not heard of, let us say, suicide in our generation, but now the suicide is very high. Depression, anxiety, suicide. You ask any student, they say that all these three are common in them. Okay, so why that happens? That's because of this particular component. I get 90%, I get 99%. Even for a degree, for example, we were hiring. They say that there is a very good, well-known Sri Ram College in Delhi. The cutoff score is 99.99. So you are desirous to have an admission there, and you get 90%, but still you are not happy. So I tried all my best and effort, but I don't get it. Is this what my life is? I am meant for admission there. When I did get the admission there, I don't want to study there anywhere else at all. So what happens now? Is this what the life is? Tendency to get into the meaning of, see, when you say suicide, what do you mean by that? Everybody, even say, for example, if you can ask, reflect upon your own grandparents, they may be very ill, very sick, but they don't want to die. That's the point now. ನನ್ನ ಮೊಮ್ಮಗನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸತ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಮೊಮ್ಮಗನ ಮದುವೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನ ಮರಿಮಗ ಹುಟ್ಟೋ ತನಕ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ. So no matter what the disability they have, they don't want to die. That living component is there. Why? Because they see a purpose in life. And when you say that your life is only to get 99%, and when you don't get 99%, even when you get 98, you say that I am not happy. Got the point now? This is where lack of meaning in this life, a negative evaluation of experiences. Even though you say positive, you drop 1 year, next year you take the examination, support, you say that they really don't mean. Got the point now? Even the positive aspects, you tend to look at from a negative aspect. Okay. How do you know that you are stressful? Okay. Forgetfulness. ಇವಾಗ ತಾನೇ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಓದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅರೆ ಏನು ಜ್ಞಾಪಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಫರ್ಗೆಟ್ಫುಲ್ನೆಸ್. ಪ್ರಿಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಗುಂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಯು ಫೈಂಡ್ perceptual errors. This is what I told you. So you misread the questions, you misread the let us say the text, and try to get a different meaning of it. Okay, exaggerated fantasy life. Okay, so you live in your own world. Okay, so that's a factor. Reduced creativity is a self-explanatory. Lack of concentration, and then diminished productivity. Okay, next one. Okay, increased aggressive behavior. You tend to be get easily angry. Okay, you say that I want to study. Okay, your parents also will study, will facilitate you. And you may say that I want to study till 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the night. Okay, I want some coffee. Okay, and your parent may come and disturb you 10:30. They say that you may go to sleep. So bring a cup of coffee to you. You only have asked for a cup of coffee. When the mother comes and taps the door, why did you come? Got the point now? You only have said, and your mother wants to help you to keep you awake and etc. But you start losing anger. So this is where this comes in. So increase alpha. This may not be there to this particular let's say the group is concerned. Carelessness, under-eating and overeating. These are the two factors. Either you may start eating more, or anxiety is there, you don't eat at all. Okay. Now, this is a very important component. On the day of the examination, it is very much essential that you should have some breakfast and then go to the examination hall. Because what happens? Already anxiety would be there. And then, you have kept the alarm at 6 o'clock. And then it bells at 6 o'clock also, but you just, without being aware of it, you stop that. Get up at 7 o'clock. Already you are late. Anxiety is there. So your mother says that eat something and go, no, I don't have time. And you go, and in the halfway you realize that you have not brought the hall ticket, run back, come again, and the day of the enter into the hall, open the let us say the answer book, everything locked. Got the point now? That's because the energy that is required for you is not there in your stomach. So that is where have breakfast and then go. So as a result of it, all these are physiological response. When the stress is there, what happens now? Heart rate increases, When the heart rate increases, blood circulation will increase. When blood circulation increases, what will happen? Your autonomic nervous system functions. When your autonomic nervous system functions, now all these things happen. Got the point now? So that is where you should have some people undereat, they don't eat at all, and some people start overeating. Both have the same effect. Okay, so stress can lead to this. Hostility, you become hostile, you become nervous laughter. Probably if you have written, if you have seen that movie, no? Which is that movie? Where Sanjay Dutt was a rowdy, then he becomes a doctor. There, the heroine's father. Huh? So how he laughs. Okay, so that's a factor. Nervous laughter. So he can't control. He is getting the angry, but he should not show the anger, and he laughs. Okay, so that's what the nervous laughter refers to. Accident proneness is another factor, and impulsiveness and compulsive behavior. You want to do in that particular manner only, and many times that particular compulsive behavior may affect your optimal performances. Next. Okay, how to manage stress? Okay. Take care of yourself. So the first component is this. Your ability to succeed in the classroom is dependent on how you treat your body. Just now I told you. So maintain your body is an important factor. So the first factor is that your ability to succeed, take care of yourself. So minimum hygiene and the health factor becomes an essential factor. Okay, so that's one. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. A small thing, you blow it up. You tend to perceive that the sky has fallen on your head. Okay. See, this is where how do you approach let us say your question paper also. When different questions are there, how do you start answering? There are different ways in which you try to answer your your questions. Okay. How do you answer that? Okay. The question which you know very well, you start with that. Okay, and sometimes, when I said compulsive behavior, you go by question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the same order. By the time you come to the next section, you will not have time at all. So, as a result of it, even though you know the answer, you may not write the response. You find, so that is where the time management becomes an essential factor. Probably I will tell you how to manage the time later on, slightly a little bit later. Okay, so that's one. So, evaluate the situation. Is it really as bad as it seems? Or imagine yourself in the best or the worst situation so that it is possible for you to come to a better understanding of that. Then be prepared. If you are taking an exam, make sure you have studied the materials, including your text, supplemental material, and the lecture notes. This is an important factor. See, what happens here is that teacher would have told you, would have used a particular method. Okay. When you are reading the textbook, the author of the textbook would have followed a particular pattern. You need not have to read in the same manner. So, in whatever manner you feel it is more meaningful to you, read from that particular aspect. So, that is where it facilitates you to learn. Otherwise, what happens? For author, it is meaningful. For a reader, it may not be meaningful at all. So, reorganize that also. And now you have very good friendship circle. So, probably what happens? The same teacher or same subject would have been taught in another section by another teacher. Can you collect the notes? Okay, whether there is let us say, another college where your friend is studying and that particular notes is more meaningful, more useful to you, collect that and start reading it. Now, these are all some of the factors where it will be possible for you to handle this. Next one. Okay, these are some of the simple things. Breathe. Okay, during your examination, take some deep breaths. Deep breathing causes your nervous system to calm down. So before you start writing, okay, as soon as you open your let us say answer book and write your register number and all that, as soon as before that particular question paper is distributed to you, take deep breath for about 4 or 5 minutes. So as a result, what will happen? Even though the level of anxiety is there, that stress or anxiety calms down. Probably imagine the climax scene in the Hindi movies. Hero and the villain. So what is the villain doing? Goes on punching. What does the hero do? Hero has the ability to punch also. What does he do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only start punching. So that means he knows that I am getting angry, but I should not punch because I am a hero. But when once that is reach, then you start putting. So this is where, breathe, take a deep breath, and when you take a deep breath, automatically your nervous system calms down, and when the nervous system calms down, you will be less anxious, and probably all those perceptual errors can be minimized. Okay, so that's one. Power of positive thinking. Before you go into your exam, silently repeat a positive self-talk. Again, Amir Khan's picture, all is well. Okay. Anyway, so what do you mean by that? So that means you has a positive self-talk. That is going to happen. I have prepared well, and this is going to help me, and etc. So this is one particular factor. Allow yourself time to enjoy life. This is an important factor. What do you mean by that? You may have a talent, you may have a sport, you may have some of these activities which you love. But normally, what you do, I don't have time at all. Okay, in that particular process, the tension goes on increasing. I will tell you about this slightly later on. Okay, next one. Okay, so the next aspect that becomes stressful, one of the main component of cause for the stress, whether you ask for 3-year-old, 13-year-old, 30-year-old, whichever, irrespective of the age, everybody talks about stress. And why stress? Because I don't have time at all. So I was talking about role overload. Too much of work is there. Despite saying that too much of work is there, you say that I don't have time at all. And most of the time, most of the tasks are incompleted. When they are incompleted, what will happen? It goes on postponing. Procrastination, you say. What is procrastination? Goes on postponing. And when it goes on postponing, what will happen now? It accumulates, overload becomes an important factor. So that is where you should talk about time management. How do we manage time? There is what do you mean by time? What do you mean by time? Can you define time? Huh? How do you define time? According to you, what do you mean by time?
Span of duration.
Huh. So normally, when you talk in terms of a time, we look at a watch, we look at a clock, and say time is measured in terms of 24 hours. Right? Now there is an interesting study that was done uh, in another continent where the night and the day are not equal. Okay, so on such a let us say the place, a study was done in an artificial let us say simulated condition environment was created. Everybody was given a clock or a watch having 28 hours. Okay, so that means how do you look at estimate the time by looking at the watch, isn't it? So this watch had 28 hours. Despite that, they said that they couldn't find time. So what do you mean by that? That is where management of time becomes an essential factor. So how do you manage time is an important factor. So importance of time we can look at from three levels, but I would concentrate on the first two and not the third factor. So importance of time at a personal level. Think of the importance of time for let us say an athlete in the Olympics. What is the measurement of time? The milliseconds. That is more important, isn't it? So the importance of time at a personal level, importance of time at a professional level. As a student, what is the importance of time you have? Isn't it? So whether an individual or a worker or whatever that particular individual is, the time is an important factor, isn't it? Because a lot of things have to be performed by an individual, and that's where time management becomes an essential factor. Next. Huh. So when you talk in terms of importance of time at a personal level, you have daily routine activities, roles and its expectations by the self, and then you also have roles and expectations by the others. So you, as an individual, have, let us say, you have to play the role of a student, you have to play the role of a sister, brother, daughter, whatever that be. All those are there, and then roles and its expectations by the others. Your friends and your relatives and your parents expect you to play do these functions. Got the point now? So these are some of the aspects of it. How to manage time. Okay. Okay. There's a small exercise. I think all of you can take this particular exercise. Okay. Make an elaborate list of activities. So normally, what you do, open your book, say at what time you go to sleep. Note down the time. Normally, at what time you go to sleep. So for some of you it may be 9, some of you it will be 10, some of you it may 10, 11, whatever that be. Don't show it to the others. It is for you only. Okay. Wrote down what is the time normally, not during the examination, not during a holiday. Typical normal day, what is the time, at what time you go to sleep. Next, you write down what is the time you normally get up. Yeah, what is the time you normally get up. So you may say that I get up at 6 o'clock and I sleep at 10 p.m. Okay, so what has happened now? From 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., right? Write what all the activities you perform. Okay, what all the things which you do. 6 o'clock, are you completely ready to function as a student? It's not possible, isn't it? So 6 to 6:30, fantasy time. What if the teacher doesn't come? Right? What if all those things can come in, isn't it? So make a list of what all the activities you perform from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. If you assume that you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to sleep at 10 p.m., write down what are all the activities that are there. So what I do would be greater the list, longer the list, better it would be for you to work out. So what I do, what I ask you to do would be this exercise, you do it for a week. Today, tomorrow, day after, etc. When then it will help you. One particular factor. So write down what are the activities. Next one, put down approximate time that you spend on each one of the activity. Okay, put down approximate time. So let us say half an hour I need to get up from the bed. Though you get up at 6 o'clock, till to 6 to 6:30. 30 minutes I want my time. 6:30 to 7:30, all my morning rituals and the things which I have to do. 7:30 to 7:45 breakfast. 7:45 to 8:50 waiting for the bus. 8:50 or 9 to let us say 3 o'clock, you will be in the college. From 3 o'clock, like that. So make a long list and find out what is the average time that you spend on each one of these activities. When you do that, then put down hours you sleep in a normal day. You have written, 10 o'clock you sleep, 6 o'clock you wake up. So 6 plus 2, 8 hours that comes in. When you add all these, find the total. It should either be everything in hours or it should be everything in minutes. So if you club together, you will not get the picture. Okay. And when you do that, definitely you will get either it is less than 24 hours or you will get more than 24 hours. And you know very well that the day has only 24 hours. Okay, next slide. So what does it mean? That means today when you write all the activities, whatever that you remembered only you will be writing it. Okay. So is it more than 24 hours? Some of you may get more than 24 hours. That means that you are not able to manage time at all. It is less than 24 hours. When you say it is less than 24 hours, then you said that you have listed every activity, still you have 5 hours or 6 hours left with you. What are you doing? Right? You are wasting time. That's the point now. So that is, if it exceeds, you need to identify the reason why it is exceeding. If it is less than 24 hours, you yourself need to be blamed if you are say that you don't have time at all. Next. And some of you may be very smart, especially the science students. They know that day has 24, you adjust it to 24, and that you are not honest to work on that particular activity. So, if you can do this exercise for about a week, you will get to know on an average what is the time which you have. Okay. So, how to manage time? Okay. So, how to manage time? Identify the time wasters. There are certain activities which are time wasters. What are they? Time wasters can be personal, time wasters can be interpersonal, and time wasters can be organizational. We will highlight on the first two factors. Highlight on the, let us say, time wasters on the personal. For a very long period of time, there was a gender bias. Okay, how much of time girls or ladies spend in front of the wardrobe or in front of the mirror? Now, that gender bias is not there. Even the boys also, so what is the time that is required for them to choose a shirt, trouser? Yesterday only I have worn. Okay, all those factors are there. Okay, so personal time wasters. Then you have interpersonal time wasters. The friendship circle and the social media you have. Okay, how much of time you spend? Okay, see, stress is because most of the time. Stress is because if and but. Okay. So what do you mean by that? As soon as you get up, you open your WhatsApp or all any of the social media, you are compelled to answer reply to all. Otherwise, if you what the other person may think, other person may not think anything at all. But you feel that the other person may feel bad. So in that process, what you do, 1 hour is gone in answering to all those. The examination is there, assignment is there. But what happens now? Somewhere in the mind it is there. You know that. But what happens now? You are forced to answer these, as a result of which the time wasting time would not be there. And what do you do now? Don't waste time. The personal component, I will be wasting my time if I eat breakfast. That's the point now. Wasting time on the mobile, you don't consider it as a wasting time, but you perceive that eating breakfast is wasting time. That's the point now. So that is where you find personal factors, and interpersonal, your social media, social relationships are next. Okay, time wasters. Some of the let's say time wasters are personal habits. So each one of us have our own let's say habits. When you get up, right? You want things to be done in that particular manner only. Okay, so you want to probably, if you say that when I get up, the bathroom should be free, nobody should be there, and you faint, like that. So you say that I should be the first person to have bath, or I should be the last person to have bath. So you say your sister has not got bath. So only then only I will have. Okay, so these are some of the habits which you would have, let us say, developed, and that's a time waster. Interest and hobbies, how much of time you spend on the activity of your interest is a factor. Telephone, of course, this is a factor now. Television, normally what happens here is that if you have seen, let us say, serials, so what happens now? You want to say that definitely I don't see the television at all. This particular serial has come to a climax. Let the climax be over, then I won't see a TV at all. By the time this serial comes to the climax, ends, the other serial would have come to reach the climax. So as a result of it, what will happen now? You start completing it. So that's a factor. Entertainment and technology is another important factor. That is a time waster. Okay. Interpersonal friendship circle is a factor. Difficulty to say no. This is an important factor. Okay, as I said, you feel that especially if probably for you it may not be there, but when you move on to the next, let us say, course of study, maybe engineering or medical or whatever that be, and if you have a childhood friend who studies in the regular BA, BSc, BCom, then what will happen now? Their time and your time, academic schedule will not match at all. You will be having examination. That person, your friend, would have completed the examination. For him or her, talking with you is important. For you, you feel that there is an examination, I don't want to stop. So you feel difficult to say stop, I have examination. So what will happen? That person is free, go on talking. Then this is where the problem is. Say difficulty to say no. Cooperation and competition is another factor. So when you start competing with another individual, time goes on, and you don't have a sense about the time is concerned. And what are the different conflicts that you have? Is a problem. Okay. Now, this is an important factor. So, for effective time management and stress management, prepare a timetable. This is easy. Okay. What are the things that you have to do? You prepare a timetable. What do you do with that? Everybody prepares a timetable, will be in the pocket or will be in the bag. The problem here is that after preparing the timetable, prioritize is an important factor. So, what do you mean by that? Think of have a 2 by 2, let us say, table. Okay, have a 2 by 2 table. When you have a 2 by 2 table, on the one side you write urgency, on the other side you write importance. Okay, so when you have, let us say, 10 activities to be performed, not all 10 activities would be equally urgent, not all 10 activities would be equally important. So what do you do now? Having got up, you say that I have to do 10 activities. Out of these 10, this is more important and this is more urgent. Put in that particular column. So when you do that, probably budgeting the time, prioritizing becomes an important factor, and then adhere to the timetable is an important factor. And then set a goal, get the self motivation, and then learn the art of saying no. This is an important factor. Saying no is easy, but how do you say no is an important factor. Your mother says do this. Okay, but What do you say? Say, for example, there is a festival. Your mother says that do this puja, then only go. And you say that you have to go to the college at that particular appropriate time. Doing that puja will not. But how do you say no is an important part? Because the relationship also play an important role. Learn the art of saying no is an important factor. So if for every individual you can't say no in the same tone, in the same manner. So if you can learn the art of saying no, probably it would be possible for you to manage time is concerned. I think I have managed time. 1 hour. Right. So learn a wide range of active coping. How do you cope up with a factor? Decrease depending on avoidance coping. You try to say postpone things is a factor. Enhance your social network. Try to find individuals with whom you can share your experiences and practice some stress management techniques. So there are some, as I said, breathing is an important factor. Yoga can be another important factor. One important simple thing that you can do would be if you have a hobby, spend some time at least once, let us say half an hour or 1 hour once a week. So that what happens now? Those see why I say that in all of us we have three roles to play. We have a child in ourselves, we have an adult in ourselves, we have a parent in ourselves. Okay, but normally what happens? We are expected to play the role of an adult, play the role of a parent, but not the child at all. So when you are spending some time in this hobby, your child comes into the picture. As a result of it, all the negative experiences which you have can be ironed out during. See, that say, for example, if you have a small child at home and the child may be in the sun, the child may be, actively playing. It is not bothered about whatever the physical discomfort that is there. So same way, if you have a talent, if you have a hobby, spend time at least half an hour once a week or once in a fortnight so that the negative experiences can be handled. So that's a factor. And effective use of study habits. So how do you study? You remember PQRST. Okay, PQRST. What is P? P is preview. Before you start reading a lesson, just see what you have read earlier. Okay, P stands for preview. Q for question. Okay, last time I remembered this. How much I am remembering now? What is it that I am not remembering now? Question is a factor. Read and write or S survey. What do you mean by survey? Try to get different forms of information. Okay, on the same topic. Okay, survey. And T, test yourself. So P, Q, R, S, T. If you can follow that, probably you will be your learning, your study habits would be much more effective. And then know your abilities, aptitudes, and interests. This is what I said in the beginning. And sharpen your soft skills. This is an important factor. Whatever let us say, how do you communicate is an important factor. So communicate with the parents, communicate with the teacher. Communication in your writing is also an important factor. And then talk to your people, share your feelings and experiences. You feel that whatever that is happening to yourself, your others also may be experiencing the same thing. When you share it with the other people, probably the negative emotions that you may experience can be reduced, can be handled. Okay. Thank you.
The tips to reduce stress with Sir said, like for the students, take care of yourself. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Be prepared. Breathe. And the power of positive thinking. Allow yourself time to enjoy life. I think it was a wonderful session. And each one of us should carry home a wonderful message that stress is also positive when taken in the right way. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request my colleague, Rashmi ma'am, head of the Kannada department, to propose the vote of thanks.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಇಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒತ್ತಡ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಯ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆಯ ಕುರಿತು ಒಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದ ಚಾಣಕ್ಯ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಕಲೆ, ಮಾನವಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಾಜ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ವಿಭಾಗದ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರಾದ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಶೋಕ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಪ್ರಗತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒತ್ತಡವನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿದಾಯಕವಾದ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮನಮುಟ್ಟುವಂತೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸೂಚನೆಗಳು, ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನವನ್ನ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಆಡಳಿತ ಮಂಡಳಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕ ಮತ್ತು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಸುಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಕಿರು ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಒಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಚಾಣಕ್ಯ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಷನ್ ವಿಭಾಗದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥಾಪಕರಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತಿರುವ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಫಣೀಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಹೃದಯಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಲು ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹಿಸಿದ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಟಿ.ಎಸ್. ನಳಿನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಈ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಗೆ ಕಾರಣರಾದಂತಹ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕ ವೃಂದದವರಿಗೆ, ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿ ವರ್ಗದವರಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ.